What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Because of Sales podcast episode. This is another one with Jake and I, and it was late night on a Sunday because we get it done for you guys. No matter what, I'm recording this right now, right after we finish at 10 p.m. So my brain was halfway on. I think Jake was pretty locked in because he's a West Coast guy, but we did get into a lot of good stuff. We talked a little bit about this AI tool that we're building for you guys. We talked about Dorian Yates' methodology from a podcast he did with Andrew Huberman in terms of every great sales guy's villain arc. We talked about some pretty interesting stuff from a researcher at OpenAI saying sales will be the last function to go to AI. We talked a little bit about coaching leads on how to sell to others. We talked about the cushiest job in sales, why people pivot into client success from sales roles. Is that cope? Yes or no? Is sales saturated? And then we shared with you guys our first hate mail. Yeah, someone responded to our newsletter hating, and we read it. It was pretty funny. But yeah, that's this podcast, you guys. So thank you for tuning in. Before you get into it, go down below to the first link in the description. That is our newsletter. That's where we receive our hate mail. But that's every week on a Wednesday. We'll send you a sub 5-minute read. Just pull everything that's going on in the world of sales, sum it up, put it in your inbox, along with some sort of deep dive that's going to help you get better at something. So it's free, always will be. Unsubscribe if you don't like it, or send us hate mail and go subscribe. So let's get into the pod now. What's up, you guys? Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Jake and I here, late night grind, but we're getting it, man. We're getting it for y'all. So Jake's been locked in over the weekend with the day job, the sales operations stuff, which you've just been like grinding. It's Sunday night and you've been grinding since like Thursday, Friday here in Austin.
Yeah. Thursday, probably put in 15, 16 hours. Friday, 18 hours. Saturday, probably a cool 10. And then most of today, besides the Seahawks game, go Hawks. That's what we do.
Yeah. It's not a bad week, I guess, to be snowed in. There's like no temptation to leave. Well, not really snow. It's kind of just like ice. But yeah, Austin's shut down right now. So you guys, we do have a great episode here. We've got a lot of topics, which you probably heard about in the intro. I think we'll just get right into them here. We are building an AI tool. I think I talked about this in the last podcast, and I'm trying to get some feedback from you guys on what you would like to learn how to do, what you know how to do that you think might be relevant to other salespeople. But basically, we're building a guide after we polled our audience. A lot of them said they feel like they're being left behind. So we're putting something together on just like easy 5-minute AI builds that'll make your life easier as a sales rep. I have a whole list of these that I'm going to build out. Some of these I've been running personally for a while. Some of them I've run previously, but just like little tools, we'll call them, to keep in your belt, pull out when you need them. And I'm not going to read through the list on this podcast, but if there's anything that you guys have been using that's changed the game for you or you'd like to use, comment that down below, send us an email. That's pretty much it on the AI tools. I just want to let you guys know that this is in the works and we would love your feedback so we can make sure the product is badass. Anything on your end on that, Jake, or all good?
No, we just kind of need to know because we know this is something that you guys are wanting. It's something that we're paying attention to. And I think it's part of the equation everyone's trying to figure out, which is how to add AI to the sales stack of every great seller.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. What do you got for us, man?
I've got the term fuck you motivation, and I pulled this from Dorian Yates on the Huberman podcast. For those that don't know, Dorian Yates, maybe on the Mount Rushmore. No, for sure on the Mount Rushmore of bodybuilding, but overall kind of a very, very cool dude. He gives off like a British surfer vibe, but by all means is a badass in the weightlifting world. And the question was posed to him, like, what really got you through the training days and the hard training of how he actually gets it done? And for those that don't know, he coined the term with his training style, blood and guts. So this is a very intense guy. And he talked about fuck you motivation and having like this own internal villain arc that he manufactured in his head. It's like Jordan saying, I took that personal. And I just know that every great seller I've ever known has kind of a villain arc that they start to embrace and they start to really take off. Is that something you see too among the killers that you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of the guys, if it's not completely just like doing it out of spite, they're just grinding because they're like, well, if this person could do it, then I could do it. So I'm just going to go do it. Right. I'm not all familiar with the specific like subject. I haven't heard the podcast or anything, but my interpretation is it's just like nothing matters. Get the job done. And the thought of that is like what fires you up to just get it done, right? I think a lot of salespeople and business owners do. A lot of them won't admit it, but they do it out of some sort of like potential insecurity.
Mm.
Or not do sales, but like they get to the level of success because of some sort of insecurity. You could argue that is good or bad, right? But there has to be something, man. Like when you don't have anything to lose, you can only go up. That was my experience, I think. Was that for you? You were like, why not go all out? Or
Yeah, I think I somewhere along the way started to get pissed that others were getting what I wanted. And I was like, what's going on? What am I not seeing? This is pissing me off. That's probably what led me to sales as a vehicle of like, how do I maximize the time I spend working to make sure that I'm keeping up? That's what it is. I felt like I was getting left behind. And then sales is a pretty damn good way to get caught up pretty quickly. And then somewhere along the way, my mindset shifted and I turned into something else. But for sure, I felt like I was being left behind by people that I admire.
just because of like career choices up to that point? Or
Yeah. We talked about this, like every marketer wants to be a sales guy and every sales guy wants to be a marketer. I had chosen the marketing path pretty early and then realized that was going to get me absolutely nowhere. And I realized what it meant to spend 25 years in marketing and like what they got. And then I saw the guys that spent 25 years in sales and I was like, well, shit, that's a pretty different lifestyle. I might as well do sales. I don't know what that means, but we'll figure it out.
yeah, unless you go on as a marketer and like start your own thing or find some sick leverage, I feel like more times than not, the sales guy is going to smoke them, you know?
Yeah. 10 times out of 10.
That's funny, dude. I'm just seeing in the camera, I have this blue paint on me. You saw the painting I was making, the custom because of sales. Well, I added some blue to it recently, trying to make it like an abstract deal. But yeah, I just saw it in the camera. I was like, got to get that off.
You're somewhat of a creative yourself.
Yeah, it's either going to look really cool or you're never going to see it because I'll throw it away.
As said Picasso one time, I believe.
Let's talk about this tweet that I saw. So maybe we'll throw a screenshot up, but this is from an OpenAI researcher. So front runner, AI, everything. They're saying that inside OpenAI, researchers will be replaced by AI first, infrastructure engineers second, and sales last. It sounds counterintuitive, might actually happen. Let's see. Towards the bottom of this, sales is pure human psychology, human nature, trust, incentives, and emotions. That's the final boss for AI. So they're talking about OpenAI. I imagine OpenAI is on the cutting edge of implementation of AI in their business, I would hope, right? And so if it's coming from the inside scoop of the most cutting edge or in the ballpark of the most cutting edge AI companies out, they're saying sales is last. Sales might be last. Like this is from someone who works in the research department. It's the final boss. And it makes sense, man. It's the hardest stuff to train salespeople on. Why so many people fail out of sales minus like bad opportunities. It's not like objection handling. You know, it's not like word tracks or scripts or any of that stuff. It's like the intangibles that end up being worth more than anything. And AI can definitely like pick up on some of that, but like I wouldn't even know where to begin if the job were to actually outsource the sales function, you know? Do you think this is like a hot take or does this sound pretty like in line with your thoughts?
Pretty damn in line. I'm very bearish on the ability for AI to replace the sales function in any way, shape, or form. This is what I was actually trying to find earlier when we were prepping for this episode. Someone basically said that sales is so difficult because you cannot escape playing pretend with yourself. Meaning when you're struggling in sales, you have to tell yourself everything is okay because that's the only way to get back out of a slump. And if you're doing well, you have to tell yourself, I need to stay hungry if I don't close this deal, if I don't keep urgency, whether you're owner-led or you're actually on a sales team, you have to tell yourself that if you don't make a sale, everything goes to zero. That's the difficult part mentally. And like, that's that one portion of sales. And then comes a skill set. Part of the human condition is sales. And that's going to be very difficult for AI to do and simulate that.
I agree. I think, you know, entry level roles, if the law permits it, you can maybe automate like blasts out and get a couple responses. But when it comes to like the actual selling, it's going to be hard.
I know people right now in my day job, they're doing anywhere between 20 and 75K per month. Good living for a pretty highly leveraged entrepreneur online, making a great living. Still a micro small business in the terms of business, but some of them have implemented in some way, shape, or form an AI sales assistant in their DMs or in sales conversations. On the top 3 priorities of their list is to get the AI the heck out of their sales funnel. Just not working. It's actually costing them money. So if that small scale of entrepreneurs experiencing that, I can't imagine how scaled out organizations and bigger teams are also experiencing this.
You said that AI is taking the sales calls?
No, the front is like setting sales calls and emails and DMs and sales conversations, and it's already failing at that. Cracks are starting to show, and it's causing reputation to hurt.
I've talked about this, maybe it was on my personal stuff, but there's not one of those AI dialers. They sound awesome in the hype videos, right? But there's not one that I've seen like last a year. I think it'll be there eventually, but right now, dude, and it's not even that I don't think AI will be capable of this soon. I do believe so. And I think the human psychology part, it will eventually learn this, but then it's not even about the fact that it can learn it and perform this as much as it is about the fact that a human wants to talk to a human. You know, like we're kind of already in some circumstances seeing this like reversion of like back to simplicity and face-to-face conversation. Like you're in person right now, working in person. Like that's old school, right?
I'm on a work trip.
It's like 1995 out here. But if anything, this is positive for us and the listeners. So I think that was cool to see for sure. I wanted to move to another tweet that I saw. Is from a guy that runs pclub.io. I actually don't know as much about this guy as I probably should. He's got a big following on Twitter, but I just want to talk about the general idea. It's a pretty long tweet, but it's about coaching your champions or your decision makers to have like the necessary conversations when you're not right there having the conversation. Or, you know, if it's like a spouse kind of deal, you know, you guys listening probably sell all sorts of different things. So whether it's like different departments, managers, spouse, it applies in a lot of different directions, business partners. And that's something that when I was going through like a lot of remote sales training, I did train up on that a little bit. My specific use case was like the spouse. But yeah, did you ever like strategize on anything like that?
Started to a little bit. Like this is a very tech sales enterprise level type thing or skill set. It's very present in those conversations. But I do know that the great sellers in every organization do this very well. It's like breaking the fourth wall almost, like not playing the game and not being overly professional, but like, hey, I am trying to sell your organization this thing. I'm trying to sell you this thing. I know you don't make the decision, but I need your favor. I need you to know that I'm working with you because I want to work for you, which is just a crazy skill to have, honestly. At every enterprise organization, especially like publicly traded sales companies, this is what makes or breaks like a good seller versus a great seller. I mean, you can train it and coach it, but this is the talent. This is like the talent version of sales, I think.
All right, guys, quick break in the pod for the sponsor, which is the Serial Sales Community. The Serial Sales Community is a business I've been running for 3.5 years. And we basically help people like you get cool remote sales jobs. Most of these jobs are going to be inbound, contracted, work from home, or wherever you want, using the sales ability that you probably already have. Most of these roles are going to be appointment setting or closing. Again, all inbound, no cold calling, no MLMs, just contracted sales functions for high cash flowing internet businesses that need people to take sales calls. Usually going to be coaching, consulting, agencies, B2B services, some softwares, masterminds, boot camps, communities, memberships, mentorships, things of that nature. Businesses where they're driving a lot of inbound traffic, usually through paid ads, cold email, something of that nature, content even. So if you're interested in that, maybe you're in between gigs right now, you want something that's going to get you along, or you're just tired of what you're doing, you want to get into something that's a little bit more flexible for you, or you could potentially make more, go down below to the second link in the description, click that link, watch the video. If you book a call, be sure to mention Because of Sales will give you 5% off any membership you choose. Now back to the pod. There's word tracks. I read through the tweet a little bit more, basically just like asking the questions to make sure that they're presenting it right. Cause this is like kind of bringing this back to my mind back when I was in the sales hot seat. The concern is that you tell them, you know, you spend a whole hour with them. You tell them, hey, yeah, this is $10,000, whatever. And then they're like, yeah, I want to do it. I want to talk to my wife, talk to my partner. They go and then they say, yeah, I want to do this thing and it's $10,000. Like that is how most people are going to present this. And the other person's going to say like, no, you're crazy. It makes no sense. Why would you do that? Whatever. You got to like coach them on how to, I guess, present this, pre-handle objections. I mean, but first you got to get the person to wanting this themselves, right? Because if you don't get that, nothing matters. But as I'm reading through this and talking about this some more, I'm getting flashbacks from the training that I used to do on this, which was a few years back. But this was a big thing because I was in like fitness sales or whatever. So yeah, super relevant. But you guys should check out this tweet. Check out this guy's account too. I get recommended his stuff a lot, I guess, because he's sales focused. But this guy seems to know what he's doing.
pclub.io is a banger.
Yeah. I don't know if that's just like sales coaching or what. You want to chat about the cushiest job in sales?
Yeah, I kind of want some audience feedback, honestly. I saw this conversation going around. I think it was on Reddit or maybe it was on a YouTube video comment thread. I got to do a better job of marking this stuff, but someone made the claim that the cushiest job in sales is wealth management and just handling a book of clients that have recurring revenue based on how much wealth they have with you or something like that. And someone was like, yeah, but honestly, what actually happens is roles where you get paid up front for the total value of the contract. So like life insurance, once you get past the trenches. And so this conversation kind of went on. It's like, I think that there are roles that are really tough to get going and then are cushy. And there are other roles that are really easy to get going, but get hard the more you're in them. We have a ton of perspective on a ton of different types of sales roles. What's your take? What's the cushiest?
I've never heard insurance sales and thought cushy. I see the angle because most of the insurance sales that I know is just like low level grind. I know you can work up and I'm sure it gets a little bit easier as you got some downline, some extra help. But I also do know wealth management guys and the sale is like a very unique kind of sale. There has to be so much trust. But I think the fact that like these wealth managers probably are getting the recurring as like the assets grow, kind of turn into fat cats a little bit, don't have to hunt all that much. Like I actually know someone that's in that phase right now where it's like he's been in it for like 5 years, the same firm. He's a young dude and he's starting to like go pursue other things aside from sales. And I'm like, it's working, you know? I don't know what his like AUM was, but it's enough to where it's like closing new business isn't priority number one. So that doesn't sound like a bad gig.
Let me ask you this. For those out there, maybe in their 30s, trying to figure out, maybe they've had some moderate success in their sales career and they look at their sales leadership team and they go, I don't really want that job. That job sucks. I think all of us have the conversation of what's like a better type of sales. Does cushy even exist? Or is cushy even the guiding thing that you should be going for in your sales career?
I don't think so, dude. I think if you're looking for cushy, you're not the guy that's cut out for it. Like go to marketing, you know? Or what is it? The next topic. Yeah, there's a lot of things I would do besides sales if I was looking for cushy.
Yeah, preach.
Even like I'm thinking we work in some spaces where they drive like inbound leads. Some, tech companies have it pretty good, but there's still like a closing element, a heavily commission based, pretty short, fast paced sale to where like if you don't do that, you're not getting your money. I think the best representation of cushy has to be something where it's like back end payments. It has to be wealth management. That sounds about right in my head. Or if you work up to some of these bigger companies and it turns into just like account management, it's like you got like 2 or 3 accounts and maybe they were passed to you, like you said, or maybe you closed them. But like, dude, I mean, I know there's people out there that they have like 1, 2, 3 accounts and they make a few $100,000 a year just by like going above and beyond for them when they need it, right?
Yep.
Doesn't sound like a bad gig.
Not too bad. Not too bad. I have a personal friend that does that.
Yeah.
Pretty cushy, as he would say so himself,
It's funny too, because like I could see other salespeople like hating on that, right? They're like, oh, you're not a real salesperson. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. It's like, dude, are you in sales to fight tooth and nail for every dollar? Or are you in sales to like get leverage,
There's also people that I know too that I've met that fell in love with sales as a skill and then found themselves one day on the other side in a cushy role, regardless of the cash, going, I kind of miss the doing of sales, not the result of sales. And that's another form of like, damn, didn't really try to optimize for this, but here I am missing what I used to do.
I would make the argument, man, because I've made this before for like the inbound style roles. The better salesperson is the one that lands the cushy job. Like they sell themselves into the job, right?
Yeah.
There's an angle there. I feel like that angle could ruffle some feathers. I feel like it makes sense, but like Andy Elliott grind style salespeople probably don't want to hear that.
Sorry to break your frame. Didn't mean to do that.
Yeah. I guess we'll kind of lead into the next topic, which was salespeople pivoting to client success. So client success is still performance based, and it's maybe the closest thing to the sales role in terms of what it takes to be good at it, right? Like you're selling people. Unfortunately, a lot of client success roles that I'm familiar with, they just put out fires. They're not very proactive. They're kind of meant to just like put out the fires and sell them once the fires are put out, upsell them, retain them. But a lot of salespeople pivot to client success. What's your take on that?
We actually just had someone internally go from our number one closer spot into leading the client success team for that reason. We needed someone that had enough of drive to keep growing accounts and upselling people and adding services and doing deep discovery and finding pain points, as well as knowing and empathizing with clients when they have customer support questions. Is it cope? Maybe a little bit. That's a very hard function, though. I think anyone that tells themselves that moving into client success may relieve their pressure to perform, that would be cope.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part, man. Cause like client success, you have to typically deal with people that aren't extremely happy and you're making less doing it in a lot of cases. So it's like you alleviate a little bit of like the sales quota pressure in exchange for negative conversations throughout most of your day. Still a quota, quota pressure there and less pay, sometimes a lot less pay. Doesn't seem like a fair trade-off. Like I know people that have gone from sales to client success. One in particular, SDR, big tech company, President's Club. And then I don't know what exactly happened. COVID happened. I guess everyone's panicking like right when COVID happened. And they're shifting their focus from signing new clients to retaining clients because big company, whatever. And she liked it, but she's also the type of person that I felt like was attracted by not having to deal with a sales quota. Then you get inside and you're like, oh shoot, this is very similar, except I'm just talking to people that aren't happy.
Yeah, they don't want my shit. They want to find the exit door. How do I keep them in and then try and sell them later?
Yeah, let us know what y'all think about that. If you know anyone that's gone from sales to client success, actually, if you know anyone that's gone from sales to client success and then their life got better, where they made more money, or they were happier, because all those things seem a little far-fetched right now. I don't know. It could just be me.
I think you're spot on. Also, now more I'm thinking about it, it almost seems dependent on the company and how they think about the client success function. Like we tried to make it very attractive internally for this person to move to client success because they're just an awesome person, champion, like just a winner. We wanted to keep them, but they wanted to move roles. So it was like, all right, how do we make this almost so attractive that it would make sense for you to want this and make more money? And I don't think organizations would think about the client success function like we did for this role. It's just more like a more eloquent customer service person.
Yeah. And I'm talking down on client success right now, but like in our community, we have someone who does the client success work and it's not a negative conversation kind of job. In fact, most of the feedback is quite good.
Yeah.
It depends on the company. But yeah, let us know if y'all know anyone crushed it and loves it. I guess we can move to the next one. A lot of people, we just said, jump out of sales, will go to client success because they think it's going to be easier. Maybe one of the reasons is their fear of the potential saturation in sales, not too much opportunity to go around. It poses the question, is sales saturated? What are your thoughts on that?
Maybe the best way I can put it right now is yes, and that's okay. I think that there will always be demand for salespeople. I don't know of one company that's crushing in sales, but also not trying to aggressively recruit more salespeople. The recruiting and the hiring of great sales talent, I don't think ever goes away regardless of scale. And there will always be plenty of people that want to make great money, and sales is the method for that. So my answer right now, and I'm holding on to this viewpoint very, very loosely, is yes, but I think that's okay.
Yeah, I would say the same thing, dude. People are starting to wake up and realize college isn't all cut out. It's not what most people were expecting. And some of those career paths, the high paying ones that require 6, 8 years of school, super high stress, starts really slow, takes you 10, 15 years to make any real money. That's why I got into sales because I was like, dude, I don't want to wait 10 years to make $100 grand, I'm going to make that this year. So I think I agree with you. It is saturated, but I put, yes, it is saturated. And so what? Like if you're the type that's going to crush sales, like you're cut out for it, you should see that as a signal that something is worth paying attention to. And if you're a competitor, just work your way to the top,
As I'm hearing you talk about this, we both agree that it's saturated. I think one thing I didn't realize until probably the last maybe 12 or 16 months or so is that there's an overabundance of salespeople. And I think the mistake a lot of them make is narrowing their view of how many sales and what type of sales there is. It's like tech, it's high ticket, it's equipment, it's services, and it's like the recurring stuff. So like mostly commission, but recurring on the back end, wealth management, insurance, things like that. And the more and more I'm in the game, the more and more I realize there's some really, really cool sales gigs out there. And so if you look at it that way, no, it's not saturated. Just like the amount of cool shit you can sell and make a great living with that skill set is very cool. I make the analogy of my buddy, not my buddy, that's not a fair assumption, a buddy of mine who would sell John Deere heavy equipment to golf courses from mostly inbound calls. And his job was to go hang out with people on golf courses. Like that's a really, really cool sales job. Sorry to cut you off. There's another person I know that sells interior cabinetry for private planes and helicopters. And their job is to go and hang out with people that have private planes and helicopters. Like that's so cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I think it's just an immature mindset. Which is, hey, I had a bad sales job or I didn't get the opportunity that I wanted. Must be the industry, must be sales. It must be the job, which is a reflection of the industry, which is a reflection of the role altogether, which is sales. And then they end up back in marketing or something. I think a lot of people, you probably know some guys that have jumped from one industry to another, to another, to another. Like, yeah, well, strategically, I know some people, man, they'll just like go and like 1 month they're selling cars, the next month they're trying to get a real estate license. Like, and it's just like they're not getting traction in any of them. And then eventually they're like, okay, yeah, sales is a scam. Sales doesn't work. Sales is not reliable, whatever. And at the bottom, man, it's definitely more saturated. I think it's competitive at the top, but dude, if you can get a footing in an industry, you're going to be set. Like when I was in roofing, dude, and I wanted to quit to go into the remote closing thing, something that gave me peace of mind was knowing that I was the number one sales rep at the highest rated company in my city for the entire last year with sales data to back it up. And I was like, if this fails, I can go to any other company in any city and get hired now, ASAP. And there was like no fear because of that. And so, if I wasn't that, maybe I would have a different opinion. But yeah, I don't know. I think winners are going to win, man. It's just how it
Winners
goes.
always win. Sales is a scam. That's cope. That is ultimate cope.
Anybody who says sales is a scam, they're showing their cards, and the cards aren't very good.
And fold those cards if I were you.
Yeah. Let's talk about our first hate mail.
Hey, thank you.
Probably heard me say it. We're a newsletter first company here. Every week we send a newsletter. It comes out about the same time as the podcast, a little later. But we had an email go out and we had a gentleman, very kind gentleman, respond back. I'll read you the email. That's not really the main point of this, but what I wanted to share was you're not doing anything until you're getting hate. Like, I'm not going to say anything crazy, but you guys get the point. If they're not picking up the phone and threatening you, I'm not saying it needs to be that every time, but if you haven't had that experience and you're not even in the arena, this gentleman, if I can find it, it's kind of funny. That's why I wanted to share it. So we sent our email. I think our email's pretty good, man. We send all these links, tips, tricks, link to our podcast, a deep dive on one topic every week. It takes like 4 minutes to read. I don't know how you could get so mad about it, but the guy basically said, this really is just lipstick on a pig content wise and seems more like a clickbait scheme. So that was it. That's all he said. Very enthusiastic signature as well. Have a great day with 4 exclamation points in it. So lipstick on a pig. I don't really know what he means. I thought that was kind of funny. Dude, I get a lot of feedback. I don't know about you. I feel like I know a lot more people that read this ongoing, even people I don't expect to read it, to be honest, like different industries, which is crazy. They read it and they're like, they talk about it like they read it every week. And to me, that's just like, that's pretty cool. Like that's the intention, but to know people that actually take the time out of their week, not just because like you're their friend and they want to support you, but because you're driving actual value to them on a weekly basis. That's cool. So to this guy, I would argue that this is not quite lipstick on a pig. It's an interesting analogy, I guess, for a sales newsletter.
Sounds like he belongs in marketing.
Yeah, as a personal emailer, I would have maybe done some research and see if he was in marketing.
I think we only allow ourselves to get hate mail because you started this thing and you've shipped consistently enough to have someone develop an opinion. All right. Congratulations. I can't wait for our next piece of hate mail.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if we've got any more comments, social posts. No, dude, it's been all good. I mean, we post some memes that are maybe a little controversial if you don't follow our Instagram page. Not even controversial, but like people like to argue, right? But this guy was like, read the email. He's like, I'm going to take the time out of my day to let him know that this was bad. But actually, we have a survey at the end of our email. I don't know if you've seen this, but we've been running it every week since we started, 41 weeks. And it's super simple. It says, what did you think of this week's newsletter? 3 selections. Keep them coming, 5 stars. Good, could improve, 3 stars, or it sucked, 1 star. And when last time I looked at the data of that, it was a couple weeks back. It was like 90%, 95% plus, like 5 stars. Like people liked it. So I don't know. As long as the good is a lot more significant than the bad, I think we're heading in the right direction here.
And if anything else, we're attracting the right audience of people that have a good expectation of what they should expect from their email newsletters.
Well, yeah, the only thing that I would think that this guy is like hoping that we aren't is like some super intense sales training, like technical thing like that. I don't know what else he could expect, but like, we're not that, like intentionally, we're not that. We want to be like the light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. Like we want to brighten up people's days, not be like, oh I got homework, I got to learn how to do this. It's like, the idea is that like people are sitting at the office and they're like, maybe they're a little tired, upset, behind on quota, whatever. But then they see our email in their inbox and they're like, but I have a because of sales email to read. I'm going to get something out of this. It's going to like make my day a little bit better. So I know I've had some like email newsletters that did that for me. So we'll just keep it going, I guess.
Yeah. See you next week.
Yeah, that's about it. So we'll wrap it up there. Thank you guys for tuning in. See ya. All right, guys, that was the pod. Again, late night, brain is halfway off. It's almost time for bed, basically. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for pushing through with us. It's been a very busy week for Jake and I both, but we still wanted to commit to getting this out to you guys. So please leave your feedback in the comments. It's very much appreciated. Drop a like, subscribe, all those things if you haven't done it already, and let us know what you want to see more of. So thank you for tuning in. Before you go, be sure to subscribe to our free newsletter. That is the first link in the description. If you like our podcast, you'll love our newsletter. Less than 5-minute read, talking about a lot of the same stuff that we talked about on the podcast, but reading is faster than listening. So if you're busy, but you still want to keep up to date with what we're doing here, go down, first link in the description, and subscribe. And thank you guys. We'll see you next week.